If you would like to see more videos like this in the future, then please consider joining my Patreon page. With just $1 a month, not only will you help the channel improve in quality and performance, but you can also help out the StoryBots production team and fans alike. Link in the description. It should be no surprise to anyone that I love StoryBots. From Ask the StoryBots all the way to the current StoryBots Answer Time, the team has never failed to impress me. And from its amazing catalog of series and specials from both Netflix and YouTube, it's safe to say that StoryBots has a pretty flawless collection on their hands. That is, until you watch the StoryBot Space Adventure. A StoryBot Space Adventure is undeniably one of the biggest letdowns that Netflix has ever produced. It alienated its audience, it was incredibly lazy during its production, and it's overall an incomplete mess. So how did we get here, you might ask? Well, let's dive in. When it comes to the production side of the Space Adventure, there's not much to go off of, but it was around the time when Netflix was expanding their kids content by buying out the StoryBots franchise. On May 9th, 2019, Netflix announced they acquired the full rights to the StoryBots franchise and settled a deal with the creators of the show, Evan and Greg Spiridelis. They would still be in full control of their projects, however, while Netflix only had the distribution rights. Now, I don't know exactly what went down during the production, but there was almost definitely some confrontation when they were creating the StoryBot Space Adventure, because surprisingly, Evan and Greg were not entirely in full control of the project. They did contribute, however, with the voice acting and such, but they couldn't have the same power as some of their other projects like Ask the StoryBots or StoryBots Answer Time. I'd also like to mention that there is a conspicuous time gap between the Space Adventure and Season 3 from Ask the StoryBots, as it's been nearly 2 years since we last saw any content from the StoryBots. And I'm only assuming it was because of a certain C-word pandemic that I won't say to get my video demonetized. Regardless of the matter, it's nothing new for Netflix's current business strategy, as they've done similar things with their other properties too, some having better fates than others. Season 3 was released during the whole Netflix buyout from 2019, but because production started way before that, it was ultimately unaffected by it, which makes the StoryBot Space Adventure technically the first production after the buyout of the franchise. So how does it hold up? Well, not well at all. Now before I go tearing down into this special, I want to set some ground rules first before we start. First and most foremost, this is all just my opinion, and you don't have to necessarily agree with any of the stuff I say in this video. Feel free to say whatever you like, this is the internet after all, people. Second, I don't want people at the end of this video to start ranting at Evan and Greg that they've made a terrible special, because it simply isn't true. Since they practically never wanted to make this special in the first place, but were forced by Netflix to produce it as soon as possible to meet a deadline. So don't lash out at these creators who weren't really involved in a big collaborative effort. That's all I ask. Finally, and most importantly, I do swear, and I will be swearing a lot throughout this entire review. So if you're under the age of 13, please click off this video immediately, as this video is solely intended for mature StoryBots fans like myself. And on that note, do you have the time to hear me whine about nothing and everything all at once? Because if you do, then let's get started. So the special starts off with this cool cinematic opening to really capture the feel that you're in outer space. And to its credit, it does a pretty good job at thinking that you're gonna have a good time. Only wish that was true about the entire special! I would be lying to you if I told you that this wasn't my favorite part of the special, because it is. Oh, and don't worry, I will get to you guys in a bit. We then cut directly to Mr. Happ's office, and right off the bat, we have our first red flag of the special. The overuse of stock footage. Now, stock footage is not uncommon in the movie industry, because most of the time, it works pretty seamlessly. But here, it's noticeable as hell. Pay attention to how the animation does not flow well with the lip syncing at all.
Give me the best answer team you got! Pronto! No! I didn't order a pizza! Bah! My system's been smoothie!
And it's especially bad here.
Whew! You answered them all! Thanks, space travelers!
Like, what happened here? Couldn't they have just made some new animation for these clips? I'm no animation expert or anything, but surely it wouldn't have been a problem given the reused assets and all. And given the special is only 13 minutes long. Oh yeah, and that's another point I want to bring up. The fact that they had the guts to make this abomination 13 minutes long, which is about half the length of a regular StoryBots episode, and labeling it as a special, really says a lot when you put things into perspective. But getting back on track, Answer Team 341B lands right into Hap's office, and there lies the next problem with this special. The fact that Beep and Boop are missing in action. I don't know exactly why they were omitted from the special. Maybe they couldn't find the right voice actors at the time? I mean, it wouldn't be a problem for Boop's case, as he's literally voiced by one of the creators of the show. Boop! But for Beep's case, it's sort of understandable. Judy Greer is quite a big celebrity after all, and probably didn't see the need to work for such a special like this. But then again, this is just a theory and hasn't been proven fact yet. Now I'm just gonna say right off the bat that I'm a-okay with Beep and Boop not appearing in the special, as it can possibly shed some light into the other characters. What I'm not okay with, however, is the team handling it in the laziest way possible. When asked this question by Bing,
"Where are Beep and Boop?"
I blame the smoothie!
Really? Is that the best explanation you can come up with? It's so hastily put together that it makes the scene feel ridiculous and almost unbelievable to the audience watching. It can be done well if under the right constraints. Take for example this episode in Super Silly Stories with Bo, where Bo was running late to work before story time.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm gonna be a bit late, Hap. I'm stuck in traffic.
Hey, I'm piping here.
See? We have a valid reason on why she's late, and it also stayed consistent with the show's humor by giving us a visual on the StoryBots in a traffic jam. It works so well because it's believable. Here, it's not believable because of how unrealistic it is. I mean, come on. You blame a fucking pomegranate smoothie over the absence of two of your most well-known StoryBots? Despite their weird efforts of removing Beep and Boop from the team, whether excusable or not, it makes me question the decision to have Beep and Boop during the intro cutscene in the first place. If you were to have the decency of excluding two of your most well-known StoryBots from the special, then why include them in the damn intro? This is false advertising at its finest. If parents are watching this with their children, and both of which are expecting to see Beep and Boop in the special, only to be disappointed when they find out that they never made a single appearance at all, then I don't think either of them will have a good time afterwards. And that's really sad to see, because the series before that was striving so much to appeal to both a younger and older demographic, and it really stood out as being unique and refreshing from the other competitors back then. But more on that in a bit. Getting back to the main story, the StoryBots have to answer a question from a girl named Elena on how rockets work, and it's at this point where things start to get a little weird. Bo knows where to find the answer, but then Bang weirdly starts explaining how pomegranates are good for you, and then he accidentally gets sent up the wrong tube by Bo, but then they gloss over it and leave Bang behind anyway? Like, what's going on here? I can't take anything seriously if I don't get any explanation on what's going on in a scene. It's like anything that ever happens in the special is always put to the sideline in order to progress the plot along. And as if that weren't bad enough, this happens.
Pizza delivery!
You can't be fucking serious. They reused the scene from Ask the StoryBots without any alteration or change whatsoever. It's legit the same scene, but rehashed into this crappy special. And even for the people who haven't watched the episode yet, what kind of pizza delivery guy would pour a bucket of sauce, cheese, and pepperoni into someone's face? This was my boiling point, and a point where I thought that the StoryBots would never anger me to this level before. Yet, here we are. It's worth noting too that since we haven't even gotten to the outer world yet, and we've already encountered this many problems, that would be enough to classify this as a terrible special. But believe me, it gets worse. So the two of them head off to the outer world, and guess what? The outer world itself is the next problem, because the outer world doesn't look like the outer world at all. Since previously in Ask the StoryBots, we've always seen the StoryBots interacting with the human characters and giving a sense of reality of what it's like in their point of view. And it only furthers that thought when they're sent in real-life locations like Hollywood, France, or New York City, to name a few. In the special, this doesn't feel like the outer world because it more so feels like I've jumped into some computer game that was made by a college kid for a school project.
What did you fucking say?
Oh, and I forgot to mention that my girlfriend is studying animation during the making of this video. No offense to you future animators out there, you do an amazing job. I just want to make this point for the sake of the video. Thank you. Anyway, totally ignoring that fact, we get introduced to the main player of the special, Rocket, voiced by Evan Michael Lee. And if you're wondering who he is, then I don't know. I have no idea who he is either. But to his credit, Evan plays a pretty decent role of this character, and I probably would have liked this character more had it not been for the terrible writing. Because when trying to write humor for the special, the jokes feel more cheesier and more straight to your face than the previous series. I mean, take this one for instance.
I'm happy to help. I'm actually on my lunch break.
Get it? Because rockets launch at launch time. Oh my god, this is so stupid. And with its humor, it sometimes makes the StoryBots feel completely out of character, particularly Bing with this line.
That's in the payload system, which is the stuff I carry in my nose cone.
You have people in your nose? What happens if you sneeze?
Oh my god, how stupid can you be, Bing? You can clearly see that he has no nose. So why would you ask that question in the first place? Like, geez, I know Bing's dumb, but he's never this dumb. And just before we were thinking of forgetting about it.
But why don't you come in my nose cone and see what it's like to be inside a rocket?
Ew, I'm not going in your nose.
Oh my god, we were just over this! Or how about the time he tries to be funny by attempting to outspeed a rocket in thin air?
Well, I can run that fast.
Woo, this is so funny.
Was that 17,500 miles per hour?
Literal dumbass. But what got me the most infuriated was this line right here. This was the third time that got me really pissed.
Are you gonna take us up to space?
Oh no, you'd have to go through a lot of training first.
Hold on a second. Training? The StoryBots need training? Despite the fact that they already went to space. Twice. And now all of a sudden they have to go through training? What is up with this special? Are you telling me that the previous 2 times they were illegally traveling through space this whole time? Because the last time I checked, they weren't breaking any rules. Because they're robots, not humans. They are not human astronauts that are trying to go to space. They are robots! We're not even halfway through this special yet, and already it has been deteriorating my mental sanity on what the StoryBots have accomplished thus far. I wanted to mention this at the very beginning, but I wanted this special to be amazing. Because what the previous series taught me, from their vast characters and dialogue and animation, I wanted this special to be just like them. But it's unfortunate to say that this is a classic tale of overpromising and under-delivering. Wait, where have I heard that line before?
It's your classic tale of overpromising and under-delivering.
Huh, they beat me to it. Spot on, Evan and Greg. Let's just hope the next 7 minutes of this special will not be as terrible as what we got previously. I'll give you a hint, it doesn't. We then transition over to Bang's side of the story, and finally, we have some real-life footage of what the outer world should be like. Haha, now we're talking. But don't get your hopes up, because it's nothing special. What we have here is essentially a 1-minute montage of Bang doing random space activities like riding a centrifuge, climbing a mountain, and even riding a fighter jet. And that's good and all, but shouldn't Bang be interacting with the humans during these montages? Bang just feels so out of place when the humans, the ones that are meant to be performing these tasks, steal the spotlight. I mean, hey, Bang is literally freezing to death while the humans help him out. It's so jarring to see Bang, my favorite character in the entire series, being used as a guinea pig in these montages solely for the need of marketing. And no, a slow motion scene will not help in this case. After a weird take of a montage, we then get back into the cockpit with Bing and Bo, and it's at this point where Rocket introduces our guest stars of the special.
I'd like to introduce you to 4 very special space travelers. Jared, Haley, Chris, and Dr. Cyan.
This is Inspiration 4, a group of space travelers on a mission to orbit around the Earth in the span of 3 days. And it's right here where we find out the main purpose of this special. This was not solely made for the StoryBots, but instead was a marketing campaign by SpaceX. Yep, you heard me right. A StoryBot special was used as a marketing tool by Elon fucking Musk himself. Oh, how whimsical. All jokes aside, I think the StoryBots collaborating with a SpaceX mission is honestly pretty amazing in concept, but how Netflix handled it on their side is where I find the crux of the problem. We then see Hap coming up with a load of kids' questions relating to space, but instead of the StoryBots answering those kids' questions as usual, the space travelers are the ones to answer all the questions, and not the StoryBots. But isn't that part of the key job description of a StoryBot? To answer kids' most biggest questions? I probably wouldn't mind if the space travelers told the StoryBots and then they returned to the answer department to answer the questions. But why have the space travelers, the ones who are cameoing in the special, directly answering the kids' questions? This just immobilizes the need for the StoryBots existing in the first place, since they feel kind of pointless when the space travelers are right there answering questions without the need for them doing diddly squat. So with all that, all the kids' questions answered, You'd think the StoryBots have everything they need to go back to the answer department, right? Nope. Of course, Bang has to do something incredibly stupid in order to progress the plot. He pushes a red button and all chaos ensues. There are warning lights everywhere and a big giant electronic countdown in front of the screen. It's obvious to everyone that they are about to take off. And what do they do in this situation? They have a fucking music video, because why not? I think it's a good time to talk about the music in the special. It's okay at best. I mean, no offense to Big Frida's performance at all, but I kind of feel like it's out of place for this special. It's essentially just a recap of the special we got, from how the rocket works to the kids' questions from the space travelers. There's nothing inherently wrong with the idea, but it's just definitely out of place, especially at a moment when you're trying to feel like something serious is about to happen. I'd also like to mention how many questions this music video brings to the table. Why are the StoryBots and the rocket all on the dance floor? Why are the StoryBots having a dance party in the first place? And why are the StoryBots outside the rocket exposed to the fumes? This doesn't make any damn sense! But anyway, the StoryBots launch into space, and then... Wait, that's it? You mean to tell me that after all those terrible decisions by the special, they decide to make the dumbest decision by ending the special on a cliffhanger? I was promised by Netflix that I would receive an adventure special, yet they haven't tackled that idea in the slightest. So to that I say, where is my adventure? So what's my final verdict of the special? If it wasn't already obvious from the get-go, I hate it. I hate it a lot. And there is no way in hell that this can even compete with the series before, or the series afterwards in that matter. Since right after that dumpster fire premiered on Netflix, they released a special the day afterwards on their YouTube channel, as if they knew it was terrible enough. But 1 year after the special came out, thankfully, the StoryBots have blessed us with 3 brand new superior series. Those being Super Silly Stories with Bo, StoryBots Laugh, Learn, and Sing, and of course, StoryBots Answer Time. And I'm happy to report that these new series that I've just mentioned are way better than what we've got in the special. I'm not sure this was intentional by the team, but I think this was Evan and Greg's way of apologizing to fans and kids who were appalled by the dreaded Space Adventure special. But the fact that this special existed in the first place, it is now permanently stuck on Netflix's catalog for future generations to come. I'm not saying that anyone besides Evan and Greg can't make good StoryBots content, they totally can. If any team were to collect the smallest bit of information of what Evan and Greg originally envisioned, then I think we could have gotten a pretty good special. But whoever wrote the space adventure clearly missed the mark of what the StoryBots are in our hearts. Because here, it feels empty, lazy, boring, stupid, but most of all, it's incomplete. And that really stings. It's also heartbreaking how none of the other series even come close to the characteristics that I've just mentioned, and instead building off each other since day one. In Ask the StoryBots, the show gives us a mix of animation and real-life settings mixed with hilarious humor to appeal to a more broader audience. In StoryBots Super Songs, we got to see Team 341B before they joined the answer department and what their friendships were like back then. In Super Silly Stories with Bo, we got to see the first spin-off of a StoryBot who shows a side of personality that we'd never seen before. In StoryBots Answer Time, we got to see the StoryBots in their individual adventures and how they grow as characters and through their own personalities as well. What does Space Adventure add to the franchise that no other series has done before? Well, at least in my eyes, nothing. How to fix the Space Adventure. Now, let's get to the more interesting part of the video, and the part that I'm actually really excited to talk about. The part where we fix the StoryBot Space Adventure. Let's just imagine that in a perfect world where Netflix didn't need another writing team for the special and are entirely in full control by Evan and Greg, the way it should be. I have never worked for the StoryBots at all, but I will try to be as close as possible to how the team would write for this special. The first major change I would have for this special is to increase the runtime to be an hour long, to make it actually feel like that we're watching a special. Now before I reveal my revised plot of the special, I want to preface this first, that we're going to see a StoryBot become the main protagonist of this amazing adventure. The StoryBot that will fit this role perfectly in my opinion, is Beep. Let me explain. Beep has always shown her leadership and togetherness when it comes to her fellow StoryBots, but we've never seen her leadership skills get put through the test or put through a trial. So we're gonna give her a similar treatment to how Bo was in the Christmas special. Only this time, we're gonna have Beep in the spotlight. So without further ado, here's my take of the StoryBot space adventure. Before the special starts, we see Beep looking into a chest in her bedroom before going to work. Bang then stops to remind her that work is going to start soon before heading off without her. But before Beep leaves her room, she pulls out an old picture frame from her chest. We don't see what the picture is as the viewer, but to Beep, she then says before fading out, "This one is for you." This is where the main special will begin. We can even use the intro they provided us in the special, since now every StoryBot present will have a major role in some way. Once we get to Hap's office, we can adjust some lines said by Hap himself to what Evan and Greg would be suitable for. Then Answer Team 341B comes in with only 3 members present. When Hap asks where Beep and Boop are, the other StoryBots don't know where they are either, with Bang simply saying that he only just saw Beep this morning. But in order not to waste any time, the team gets sent their question and all 3 of them go to the outer world to get an answer. When they arrive, they land right into the Kennedy Space Center in Merritt Island, Florida. This is where we see the Inspiration 4 team come into play, but this time, it's actually in person. Here we get to see how the rockets work from a technical standpoint, and we also get to see what the training montage will be like as well. While not mandatory by the StoryBots because they're literally robots, they still willingly volunteered to experience with the space travelers on what it's like to go to outer space. I would also like to add some references from the previous 2 times they were in space to add some needed continuity to the story. Meanwhile, back at the answer department, Beep and Boop come extremely late to work, going through several traffic jams along the way. After being reprimanded by Hap, Beep then asks where her team is right now, with Hap responding that they're off at the Space Center to learn how rockets work. The 2 of them waste no time, and together, they both head out to the Space Center to catch up with their friends. Speaking of the Space Center, we then catch up with Bing Bang and Bo as the space travelers prepare them for takeoff. But then one of the space travelers realize that they left their oxygen tanks back in the conference room, so the crew members leave the shuttle, leaving the StoryBots stuck in the cockpit. And by complete accident, Bo slips on the controls and lands on a button that prepares the rocket for launch. The countdown begins, and then before they can even think of anything else, it's too late. The StoryBots are now on a careening course to outer space, without a space crew to guide them. And when the space travelers do come back, they are in shock to find their rocket ship has just launched without them, and immediately rush to ground control to explain the whole situation. At the same time, when Beep and Boop are traveling to the Space Center, Boop notices there's a rocket ship launching in the sky, with Beep replying back, "There is no way our team is in that spaceship." And it's at this moment where Beep and Boop stumble upon the Inspiration 4 team. Now what I'm about to say next is the pinnacle turning point of the special, and where things start to get a bit spicy. So in the next scene, it plays out something like this. Wow, are you guys space travelers? Yeah, we are space travelers. Or at least, we were. Huh? What are you talking about? Shouldn't you guys be up in the sky in a rocket ship or something? Oh yeah, we were totally gonna go into a rocket ship. Until it launched into the sky without us? What? Are you telling me that there's no one driving the rocket ship? Oh, there were some passengers on board. Just, 3 little robots, that's all. Oh, that's good. Wait, what did they look like? Oh, let's see. We have a big purple gal and a small yellow dude and a long blue dude. Does that ring a bell? Oh no. This is my fault. Wait, do you know these guys? Yes, they're my teammates. They're inside that rocket ship going to space. Oh god, this is so bad. What are we gonna do now? Don't worry, Beep. It's gonna be alright. We'll just send you inside another rocket ship and... I can't go in a rocket ship. Oh no, you don't have to go through any training or anything. We could just put you inside the rocket ship with us and we can fly all the way to... No! I will not go inside another rocket ship again! Beep? Are you okay? Yeah, like, are you afraid of rockets or something? You guys obviously don't understand the situation. I've never been inside a rocket before, but I know someone who has. A long time ago. Really? Then who is this guy? I've never told anyone about this aside from my friends, but there was someone I knew for a long time who was once at the top of his game. And that someone was my father. Wait, your father went inside a spaceship? This was before I joined my answer team, but my father was once part of the best answer team in StoryBot history when I was just a little StoryBot who always wanted to have adventures, just like my dad. One day, my dad was going to space to answer a question about Jupiter, and he was going to be the first StoryBot ever to go to outer space. I was watching with the crowds that day on this tremendous occasion, when out of nowhere, it happened. It was terrible. I witnessed every second, and it was engulfed in flames in seconds. When they searched through the wreckage, there were no survivors. I was devastated after I heard that. And the only thing that remained was my father's memory chip, and I've been keeping that in my chest plate ever since then. To this day, I always strive to do my best, but I'll never forget about what happened all those years ago. People say that robots can't age, but they can never last forever. And that is Beep's climax. Not only have we given Beep some much needed character development, but we also give a different side of Beep that we've never seen before, her somber side. And, at least in my opinion, these are really important key features with any major special with main character protagonists. And Beep is no exception. But before anyone has a chance to talk yet, a person from ground control burst out saying that there's a rocket loaded with 3 StoryBots aboard that's on a collision course to the surface of the Earth. And if nothing can be done about it, the StoryBots are going to be goners. This puts Beep in a panic attack, as all her friends, the ones she's worked with for years, are all having their lives put at stake. But then Boop points her to the ground control room, and it's at this moment where Beep has an idea. Back at the rocket, it is careening down to Earth at a tremendous speed, and the StoryBots aboard are scared for their lives. But before they hit the panic attack button, they hear an incoming transmission call from ground control, and everyone aboard knows who that voice is. It's Beep, and she's there to assure that everything is going to be a-okay. She then gives instructions to the StoryBots on how to land the rocket safely. And after many attempts of communicating through trial and error, the rocket safely touches the ground, and everyone from the ground control center is out of their chairs with joy. Beep had officially saved a rocket from crashing to the Earth, and is commemorated by the whole NASA ground control team on her acts of bravery, leadership, and teamwork. When the StoryBots finally reunite, Beep greets them with open arms and gives them the biggest hug she has ever given them in their entire career. And as if that weren't crazy enough, Hap then appears to congratulate the StoryBots on their wild adventure, and for the first time, gives them a smile. Not only does he give Beep a Medal of Honor for her bravery, but he also officially announces to everyone that Beep is the new official leader of Answer Team 341B. This is the best day Beep could ever have. And before the special ends, Beep and her friends can all agree that by working together, togetherness can make anything effortless. And that is how a StoryBot space adventure should have been like.